Hey everyone, Cap here. It's a cold, crappy day today, and that means it's a pretty good day to go down into the basement and have a quick tour of my in-progress HO scale model railroad. Let's get started. So, this is the West End staging yard. It looks like it's 9 tracks worth of staging. It's really 8. The 9th track on the far left of your screen will end up going to another staging yard. There are 4 tracks for points west of New York, meaning Bellevue, Ohio, and 4 tracks representing Canada and places in Buffalo where we get transfer runs from CSX, Norfolk Southern, Canadian National, Canadian Pacific, and various Genesee and Wyoming Railroad properties. Also coming from the west are transfer runs from the Union Pacific. The switches back here are all manually operated. You then come around here and we go through this really dramatic hole. So the other side of our dark hole, where the railroad comes out of staging, we have a 2-track main line, and we have 2 leads for doing switching. This represents the crew change point, where crews coming from the west will get off their trains and be replaced by people visiting to operate the railroad. As we pan to the east, and we're always looking north on our railroad, we get into the terminal yard, because this represents the western end of my railroad. Now, it's just about eye level off the floor for me down here in the basement, and I'm about 6'2". And people frequently look at this and ask, well, how do you switch that? How can you see? It's way too high. And the answer is that there's a step and a platform behind the staging yard that the yardmaster can stand in. No one jostles him. He's got plenty of his own space to work, and he doesn't get in the way of road crews moving around the room. So let's take a look. So the first thing that we find when we come to the back side, or the north side of the staging yard, or the classification yard here, is the yardmaster has a desk. And he has, for each track in the yard, a box for car cards and waybills. He has bad order cards for cars that need work. He has blank cards for assigning locomotives, and blank car cards here, and obviously a workspace. As we come up here, we have the yard tower and some buildings for maintenance of way and other crew functions. We have a runaround track, and we have the yard ladder for the classification tracks, and there are 6 of them. There are also, on the other side of the classification tracks, 3 arrival and departure tracks. So this is the east end of the terminal classification yard. We have a yard ladder, and we have locomotive and car servicing. We have storage tracks. We have the locomotive service facility itself, 4 active tracks, 2 open stalls, and behind that is the car shop. We have a lead that goes from the arrival and departure tracks around behind the service area to a curved turnout here, and then back into the 6 car classification tracks. This track continues all the way to the next area, which is industrial trackage west of town. So that track comes down over the course of about 20 feet and curves around underneath where the 2 main lines come out from staging. As I said, this is an industrial area. Buildings are in progress. We come around And we have six customers to serve, six customers to serve, both along the backdrop and here in the foreground. And we end over here in an intermodal yard. Over here, I'm using sheet styrene as the concrete pad. And over here, I'm going to have to take a chisel to this. I tried to use anchor bolt cement, and it came out quite poorly. So I'm going to have to get rid of that. Over here, we have a decent sized grain elevator. We have 3 tracks. We have the loading and unloading shed and 2 storage tracks. We have a runaround for a locomotive. And the tracks curve around to what I'm going to label as Lake Junction. Here we have a small farming community and the tracks. So the 2-track main line, and we have a small industrial track where we can run around and serve the industries here. We have an apple grower's cold storage facility. Moving to the east, we have the street where it crosses the track, probably it's town's main street. We have a farmer's co-op, and we have cement dealer. We also have the one feature so far on my railroad that I really don't like, but it gives me the opportunity to have the railroad that I want in the space that I can afford to build. And that is a multiple track helix. It allows me to build upwards without having to have built twice the basement at twice the tax burden. So that's about where the railroad ends at this point. This is going to end up being a mushroom type layout, and there will be another staging yard above the first one, and there will be another classification yard, which will be a division point. And that's all for now.